We got to really figure out how to do this cold open. I have no idea how to do it. Do we just start talking about Runeterra and then the music starts? How does that work?
I don't think we actually talk about Runeterra on this podcast.
No, we never do.
We talk about heat-changing
we
t-shirts.
talk about heat shirts, and then the music starts, and we start talking about games, I guess. Wow. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Runeterrable Radio, episode number 10. I am your host, The Blevins. Joining me, as always, is Saucy Mailman. What's up,
That's
buddy?
me.
Oh, man. We are mere seconds into the show, but feels like it has been 5 hours since we started recording because tangents and heat shirts and whatnot. But we have a lot to talk about in the Runeterra world, and we are joined by none other than KozmicPlays. What's up, buddy?
Hey guys, thanks for having me on the show.
Super excited to have you here because we are in, it's kind of like, it's almost like we're starting to really get into this is where the game is at a point where a lot of games start. Where collections are starting to get built. People are getting into a groove. A meta of sorts has started to develop. I think we're still seeing a lot of back and forth, but a meta of sorts is starting to develop. And it's a really interesting time to be playing.
Yeah,
Legends
people are
of
starting
Runeterra.
to figure out what cards are actually good.
Right.
What like decks they actually like to play.
Yes, that is another good one too.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's a really good time to be playing. So, and I'm sure if you're listening to a Legends of Runeterra podcast, you probably agree with that. But if you were unsure, go download it. But we're going to be talking a lot about a lot of I can't talk. We're going to be talking a lot about that. But let's talk a little bit first with our guest to give a little bit of context and background to him. So, Kozmic, tell us just a little bit about yourself. Where you come from, what brings you to Runeterra?
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks again. And for those that don't know me, I'm Kozmic. I've been doing TCG content for about 6 years. A lot of that was actually in tabletop. So I've worked with companies called Force of Will and Bushiroad were kind of the two big ones.
Mm-hmm.
And then you might notice, actually, now that I don't have the green screen up, you can actually see them behind me. I was also one of the content creators for Team Liquid when Artifact was around. That was like my first journey into kind of streaming and kind of moving over to the digital side. So it's a card game. I'm going to play it. And I've been having a lot of fun with Runeterra so far. So it's been pretty good. I'm definitely looking forward to the balance patch next week. But overall, I'd say it's been a pretty solid, I guess, first 3 weeks going into our 4th week here.
Yeah, it has been super, super fun. What decks have jumped out to you as someone who's played so many different games over the years?
So I'm a bit of a degenerate, I will say. This is also going to get into one of my favorite cards. I love combo decks. So beyond all this, probably my most experienced background comes in Magic, and I've played basically nothing but combo decks in Modern and Legacy. So
Nice.
I love everything Ezreal. My hot take maybe for the next card that goes onto that watch list is actually Ezreal, because it creates a lot of unfun interactions or instances of the game that you can't really play around because everything's burst speed. And I'm assuming they don't want that in the game for something that's so combat focused. So after I get to Masters, which is knock on wood sometimes this week, I'm going to be playing nothing but Ezreal decks to try to get it banned, basically, because that's what kind of
Love it.
That's awesome, and you may appreciate this, but one of my friends locally, Magic player, is part of the reason, or was maybe the straw that broke the camel's back, that got Splinter Twin banned. He won a GP in 2015 with Splinter Twin, and like the week after they banned Splinter Twin in Modern. So,
yep, that was one of my first Modern decks, and I miss it dearly. And hey, unbanned Splinter Twin. It's 2020. It's not even the worst thing out there anymore.
True.
Yeah.
Also,
I'm with you though.
Yeah.
I was also a Splinter Twin guy.
I was a Splinter Twin and a Birthing Pod guy, and
I was big on Pod.
Here's a deep cut reference that neither of the other people on this podcast, and probably no one listening to this podcast, will get. But this harkens back to my very first podcast. But shout outs to Alex Bianchi, That's the person who that's my friend that got it banned, but it was a meme on one of my old podcasts. So there's maybe, if I'm lucky, there's one person listening that gets that joke, but it will probably make their life that I said it. But okay, so we gotta get this out of the way because it's still a heated debate between myself and Saucy, and I think we've come to some sort of an agreement on Baby Shark being a legitimate board guardian. He's super cute and great. But who is your favorite board guardian right now?
So I am all PNZ gang. So I'm all about the PNZ board. I love T-Hex. I love all of that like steampunky good design. I'm sorry, that's just I love it. I love all of.
See, this is actually the reason that I wanted to bring Cosmic on this show. I secretly knew this, and I needed more points in my court because everyone's like, "Ooh, Baby Shark!" Ooh, I'm like, no.
Hey, Baby Shark is good, but Gromp gang.
T-Hex, best guardian.
Easy Gromp.
Now I will say the shark does have the best like click on animation where he does like the vomiting out the fish. Now that's pro. They got me on that one. But overall, I still got to give it to.
I mean, it's the easiest Gromp I've ever had in my entire life, but that's okay. That's okay. Doesn't matter. I don't need people on my side. I know my truth. Okay, you can't take that away from me. I know my truth. Let's talk about some cards. Cosmic, what are your favorite cards? Obviously, you already talked about Ezreal a little bit, but there's so many different cards, champions, spells, followers. What's your favorite here?
So I try to pick one of each. And I was putting this list together and I realized it just shows my level of degeneracy. Cornea, I love because it focuses spell heavy decks, and then Dawn and Dusk, because again, combo driven, and it's a card that says this has to get banned or changed at some point. So like all three of those, and Ezreal being the other one, for my champion of pick, all three of those just go well, so well together, or just enable some very degenerate things to happen. So in terms of favorite three, definitely there's like things that I want to break and or see them get enough play to where they have to be changed. Those are definitely my three.
Oh man, I mean, those are some super fun cards. Karina has actually been a really.
Oh, I love her.
I did not expect her. There's like a bit. I don't actually know if there's a cycle of them. There might be of these like almost like legendary type followers that are like these big expensive followers. Like there's one that I found in a list that I think Magic players know him as Josh Utter Layton or Raptor, and Mogwai actually posted. It's a PNZ Noxus like control deck that has his name's like Jay Hamadan or
Medina or something like that.
It's something like that. I don't know what his name, but like I've been playing him and I'm like, hey, I didn't know this card existed when I first saw it. I'm like, well, I like searched it on I'm like, whoa, I've never seen this card in my life.
I've still been running into that where like if I'm playing, I'm like, I don't know what to play, and someone will give me their deck list. I'm like, I've never seen this weird ass card. Let's play it. That was the I finally played I think it was the Back Alley Barkeep, is the guy who makes like a random card for every time you play one of his. And the whole deck revolved around like you made the ephemeral copy of him and you just made more copies of him. So you just filled your hand with garbage and like you just had random crap the whole game. But I was like, it was a Cataclysm deck though. It was that's how you got the random cards.
Yeah. I saw a tweet from Yoel Larson, who is a Magic player and was an Artifact player, and he was playing in an expedition and was playing Back Alley Barkeeps, and then got a Cataclysm off of the Back Alley Barkeep that had the 15 charges on it, and he won. He's like, there wasn't a lot of cards I could have got that won me the game off this, but
that was one of them.
I would be tilted off the face of the earth if I was his opponent. Just the one ungodly chance of that happening. It's like, all right, cool.
I guess I'll just quit the game forever.
Yeah, well, especially since I think, if I recall correctly, Back Alley Barkeep isn't even just spells. I think it just gives you a random card. Cards. It's not even spells. Yep. So it's like, yeah, you got a 1 out of the set.
I got a ruination off of him in one game against an aggro. It was against a Miswraith deck, and I won because of it. I'm like, I guess this was good.
Yep. Well, I guess that makes up for all the times I've gotten what are some spells? There's some spells that are like just useless. Like they don't do anything unless they're in a combination with something else, and I'm like, well, I guess I hope I get a spell that lets me discard something so that I can get some
Yeah.
value out of this.
I mean, that's why we play those cards, though, right? Because you're waiting for like 1 out of 50 chance to hit that miracle, and then you just ignored the 49 times that it failed you. You're like, no, listen, I gotta really focus on the one time it did the thing for me. Do it for
best
Those never
card
happened.
ever. Best card ever. Saucy, I don't know. Have we ever talked about our favorite cards on the podcast? Like,
Probably.
I don't know
I think
if
we
we
did
have.
like episode
talked
1.
Yeah, we've definitely talked about our favorite champion. I don't know if we talked about our favorite card or not. What, like off the top of your head, maybe not your very favorite one, but it's like, what's a cool one that you like a lot? Just a card.
Avarosian Hearthguard is probably my favorite,
Ooh.
like non-champion. Just like anytime I'm playing Freljord, I'm playing 3 of those. It doesn't even
Yeah.
matter what I'm playing; those are just going in. And
Yeah.
and his buddy Omen Hawk.
Omen Hawk is so good. In
That card
that
will get
vein,
nerfed.
in that vein, yeah. In that vein, I think not Bull Elnuck. What's the Troop of Elnucks is one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
I love that card, even though I got completely ranched in my 6. I was 6-0. Not even I had 6 wins and I like went back and forth and lost a couple. I was 6-0 and I had a nasty Fiora deck. Like my deck was busted. And I had a bad and I had run pretty good, so I'm like, you know, all my bad luck is getting pushed towards the end. And I like have a bad mulligan. Like I open up a hand, it's like 3-drop spell, 4-drop spell, 5-drop spell, 4-drop spell. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna ship the whole hand. I just need one of my 3 Fioras and anything else in my deck. And then I mulligan that away, get like a very similar hand. No creatures. Or no followers. I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. So I'm like drawing, I get nothing. First 2 turns, nothing. I don't have a creature to play until turn 4, where I draw the 3-mana 1/1 that buffs every creature in your hand.
Oh, he's so good though, right?
He is when you have creatures, but not when he's the first one you get on your 4th mana turn.
That's so rough.
So, and that's not even the worst part, because my opponent on the following turn, so turn 5, plays Bull Elnuck and gets 5 Bull Elnucks out, or plays Troop of Elnucks and has 5 Bull Elnucks out, and I die.
That's insane.
I died. I'm like, okay, I'll take the bad luck on the draw. And like, it wasn't even that I kept an unreasonable hand. Like if I was like, okay, I kept a greedy hand and I got punished, I'd be like, okay, well, whatever, I'm an idiot. But I mulliganed away a bad hand, got a bad hand, drew poorly, and then my opponent literally goes turn 5, 20 you.
I mean, I gotta say though, that is one of the most fun archetypes that you can build in expeditions. And if I'm on my free ones, you better believe I'm doing that at least once, because just the feeling your opponent just like slink into their chair, lose all feeling out of their body. We're like, look at this crazy 20 power on the board that I've casually played on turn 4 and turn 5 for you. How's that feel? It's like, oh God, why is this happening to me?
I did make it up for it by getting a 7-win run with Poros, so that was pretty sweet. Did you know? Because I did not know this until I played the deck, that Tuft of Fluffs, when you play it, it combines all the other Poros on the board and you get all of its abilities and all of its power, right? Like that's known. Did you know that it just has when it dies, it resummons the 4/4?
Yeah.
Just I saw that. I'm like, oh man, he like had a vengeance for my like 26/26. I'm like, well, that sucks. And then he kills it, and I'm like, I still have a 4/4. I'm like, am I missing something here? It sure doesn't say it on the card until you play it. So that was cool. But we've talked about most favorites. Cosmic, what about your least favorite cards?
So the one that sticks out to me, and I wrote this like last night as a note to myself, and then this morning, again, shout out to Mogwai, and this is at no way trying to discredit what he did, but I hate Teemo because it's not in a good spot right now. And I don't know if you guys saw it, but both Mogwai, I think that was the list he hit masters with, Mogwai and like 2 other people have built this Teemo Shadow Isles deck, which is getting people to masters. And I will swear on my life and throw down right now, it's not Teemo that's doing it. It's the Shadow Isles package. I want everybody to know that. It's a fine deck, but it definitely goes to speak of how strong Shadow Isles is. But if that's the shell that gets Teemo there, 1, fine, I guess. But 2, we probably need to rework the guy because that's probably not the best spot for him. So Teemo is my, and again, I love degenerate decks, so go figure. That's what I'm going to complain about. But Teemo needs some love, and I just cannot, for the life of me, believe that Shadow Isles has got to be the place for it. I refuse to accept that as a fact.
Yeah, but bro, you just make like a bunch of ephemeral copies of him and just keep attacking. Like, just
I
keep
guess
doubling.
I was playing actually last night I played a lot of Teemo Reanimator because you just play Teemo as your only champ. You 3 rekindlers. You play the Scribe of Sorrows, anything that like, or even play the Mist card, the 3 mana revive a dude who died that turn.
Yeah.
So you just play, you're just Teemo, all day.
All right, man. I just gotta accept my L in that case, but I was like, I want something else there, but yeah, maybe you just have to revive him. Hey, maybe the 12th Teemo is the one that gets you there, right? That's that.
Yeah, it's not if at first you don't succeed, puff and puff again.
And then anytime they play one elusive creature, you just concede the game and move on.
That's what we call a go next. What's that? A 2/2 for 3? Yeah.
Can't win.
Yep. Ship it.
All right. Teemo, because he needs some work. What's your second least favorite card?
So I don't know how much experience other people have in terms of games that pass priority back and forth. Fantasy Flight Games is very known for this fact that all their games have L5R being a more recent example. They love this priority pass system, Star Wars Destiny. But in Runeterra, we already have a couple cards that say, I'm going to take one priority, but summon 20 different things. In that case, and this is partially due to just how strong Hecarim is, but for my unit, I went with the Rekindler because it just cheats the board state. You get one priority sequence, you put that on board, you get a Hecarim, so you basically get to +3 in action when your opponent has a single opportunity to respond, and it just creates huge swings in board state. So I think this falls into the same issue of Dawn and Dusk, where on average it's probably not that threatening, but when you combine it with these things that already plus the board so far or push it, like Dawn and Dusk and Anivia was a previous example where this would just get broken. You push these things too far. So is it, we change Hecarim? Do we change the Rekindler? I guess my vote here, I'll just say that Hecarim is most likely going to get changed on the 18th. I think that's a very safe bet. He loses Overwhelm. That's kind of my hot take. But yeah, I think they need to be very careful about all these plus priority actions. I don't know a better name for them yet, like the Rekindler, Hecarim that summons 2 more units. Like any of these go wide strategies. Wayfinder is another one, but you have to work for Wayfinder, right? That's the drawback. You have to build your deck in that direction.
Right. And the payoff is
2/1 cost. Multiple units is not okay in a pass priority game.
That is a really good point. That, I mean, I've played Star Wars Destiny and some of those other games, so I definitely understand that, but I haven't played them to the extent that I played Magic. So like the pass priority isn't as big of a thing. That is not like on my mind of like, oh, this is flipping the switch. This is triggering the alarm. That's like, this is broken. This is broken. It's like 0 cost spells. That's my Magic thing. Like if it makes mana, if it makes mana, maybe broken, maybe broken. Yep. If it draws cheap cards, maybe broken, maybe broken. If it has hit, maybe like all these things. But it's like, yeah, when you can go, when your sequence is, I do one thing and it plays the equivalent of 3 turns worth of or 3 priority passes worth of stuff, and your opponent gets 1, and then it comes back to you and you just go attack. Yeah, that is a big thing. That is a big thing. We did talk about Rekindler way early on. That what did we call them? I think we called them like the Candle Boys or something like that because we couldn't think of the name.
Stupid.
That
was my I think that was one of my
your first
1 or
episode.
2 favorite cards.
Yeah.
In a closed beta, I loved Rekindler.
Yeah, I definitely think it's one of my favorite cards from like a flavor perspective, and on average, again, I think it's okay. But then with things like Hecarim, just push it far beyond that.
Yeah.
Kind of the last thing on the multiple priority things. That's why Harrowing costs as much as it does, right? Because Harrowing gives you a full board in a lot of cases,
right, where
you have a very limited opportunity. If it's Ruination, if it's Winter's Breath, Deny, obviously. I guess we should give credit to Deny where it's deserved. But it's so strong of cards you find, and then Rekindler is what, a 6 drop, and you're just getting so much power back with it.
Yeah, and I mean the other thing, I mean, I like Rekindler as a card. I think it is a cool card. It is a very strong card. The other thing about Rekindler is that like it's worded in kind of a weird way because it's like revive the champion, which is like, okay, if I'm thinking about this from Magic, right? revive or you bring something back, it's like there is a copy of that card in your graveyard that you bring back. You bring back that instance of it. But Rekindler's like, nope, if it died, it can be revived. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't go, there's not a state of being undead, right? Like you're always able to keep reviving it. So if you play 2 Rekindlers and the original Hecarim or whatever the champion is still out, you just make an extra one, which is
Yeah, exactly.
crazy.
That brings up a good note, and we actually had to go into support to check this. And I don't think a lot of people know this, or at least it sure as hell caught me off guard. If you have a, let's say, for example, Hecarim on the board, and you use the spell version of him, and your Hecarim hasn't died yet, if you play then the Rekindler, it'll give you a Hecarim because you play the spell copy. It's probably not going to come up all that often, but it's absolutely busted how that. So all spells still count as that unit being in the graveyard. I haven't been able to test that, but that is what support has said back. I haven't had a chance to test it in friendly, but it came up in the official Discord. So kudos to maybe anyone that wants to test that for sure. But they said that's working as intended. So drives me wild.
I mean, it kind of logistically makes sense because you're playing this. They transform into. It doesn't matter. That's kind of wonky. That's how that works. Oh my god, that's insane. I mean, and that actually, that's an interesting sort of tangent to go off on, because if revive is pushed as a mechanic, all of a sudden, anything that revives a champion is more broken than we think it is, because you just play the spell and you get it. It's not even like, I mean, you think. Oh, Tryndamere is not a good example because his spell also costs 8. But like you can play Hecarim, you can play Hecarim for 3 mana and then revive him with whatever ability or whatever revive they come up with in the future, and like cheat him out early with something like that. So that like actually kind of limits what they can do, or I guess what they probably should do with the revive sort of. I mean, it's not really a keyword, I guess, technically. It's more of like an ability. I don't know what you would call it, but it really kind of limits that. So, yeah, I like the Rekindler. I think he's cool, but yeah, he's a tough. He is expensive, or he's not expensive. He is very powerful for not really that much mana. It's like, he's one of those cards, especially in like Expedition. I love playing him in Expedition because it's like anything. I mean, anything that's a 2-for-1 is generally going to be good, but this is like just like a 2-for-1, but it's like too big. It's a big 2.
Yeah,
it's a real big 2 for just 6 mana.
I definitely think they're gonna have to bring down his stats 3/3 minimum, because of just how much value you're getting back off it.
Right.
For 6.
Right. Yeah, I mean the weakest champion is Teemo, right? So at minimum he is a 5/5, one of the power of which is elusive, and that's plus anything that any ability that the champion has.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, he is pretty good. Anything else, Cosmic, on your list of least favorites?
And this one I think is just more of a, and let me rephrase. I think a lot of this is we're all still trying to figure out how much we value burst at and where that kind of falls in from their design philosophy. But how the hell back-to-back costs 5, I will never understand. That card is easily the best burst spell in my opinion, and has done so much for Demacia. Now again, Demacia needs something, but I think we need to buff the rest of their stuff instead of back-to-back being just as absurdly strong as it is in basically all situations, right? It's offensive, it's defensive. You can abuse the shit out of it with Relentless Pursuit. It does everything for you for 5.
Yeah, Mark of the Isles is a good card. It's a very good card. But when you consider like, oh, well, you can just win out of nowhere with Mark of the Isles, it's like, yeah, there's a spell that costs 5 and does it twice and doesn't kill your guys.
Yeah, and keeps them alive.
Yeah, it's insane. That is one of those cards that, I mean, that's one of the and you can check out Saucy and Mai's Expedition video about playing around things. Shameless plug there. YouTube.com/SaucyMailman for that one. You thought I was gonna stop, didn't you?
He'll do good in 5 minutes.
Smash that bell. But that's one of the cards that's just like, well, They've got they're attacking. It's like they're attacking. They have full mana. They're Demacia, and they're setting up a weird attack where they're like jump attacking. Yep, they have back to back. Okay, so how can I block that doesn't get blown out by back to back? Okay,
can't.
first step is hit escape. Second step is hit surrender. Yeah, it's real strong. I definitely agree with that one.
Yeah, I was starting to see like a handful of the Mistwraith decks that were using Demacia just for back to back instead of Ionia for denies.
Yeah, back to back and Dawn Speaker usually I think were the two.
Yeah,
and
it's like those are the two Demacia cards.
Yeah, and the other thing about Demacia is like it's like there's some like cool. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff. There's challengers, but it's like the core of that of the elite deck at least is like it's just 3/3s for 3. Like,
yeah,
take your pick of 3/3s for 3, and you get to play those. So
it's kind of like Big Bears.
yeah, it's trained Armadons.
Yeah,
with abilities, or Call of the Herd for you old school Magic players. That card was $35 at one point. By the way, it's it makes a 3/3 elephant for 3 mana and has flashback for 4. That was a $35 card when I started playing.
Broken, too good.
Yeah, so
Too much
good.
value.
It's just unspeakable amounts of value. Thank you, Blue Green Madness. Shout outs to all the OG Magic players, the OG UG Madness players. Saucy, what's your least favorite card, or like one of the ones you just hate playing against?
Least favorite card. That's tough. I really don't like Dawn Speaker. That card annoys me a lot.
Yeah.
And it's probably just because I'm always playing the greediest control decks possible, and it makes like just math really hard.
Yeah.
When you're like, I really can't kill someone this turn because he's got 4 mana open, and he's playing Demacia. I know he's got at least 3 copies of Dawn Speaker.
Yep.
It's just powerful. Like the card, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It annoys me.
Yeah.
So
the one I kind of hate. This one's going to seem really innocuous and is kind of.
Don't say Teemo.
No, it's not Teemo. This one's kind of dumb, and it isn't. It probably isn't even a good. There's nothing wrong with the card, but the one I don't even know the name of it. It's the 4 mana 2/3. It is the 4 mana 2/3 that when it comes into play, you give a creature, you give a follower or a unit +2/+2. It just pumps up a guy. I don't even know. It's
Bladesmith or whatever. Yeah.
And no, it's not the most powerful thing. It's not like broken or anything, but it's just like it's him and I guess a bunch of other followers as well that just have the immediate, I guess, sort of like pseudo burst or like slow burst effects from creatures or from followers that are just like you play it and it happens. You can't do anything about it because like it's not even like a broken thing again because like that card's not like super overpowered. It's just like my brain is like, oh, you play a guy, okay, enter the battlefield, trigger goes on the stack, I'm going to kill your guy in response, but you can't do it. And like for some reason it's clicked for me already that like I can't do that with burst spells, although it is still a little bit frustrating with like all the freezing spells. Harsh Winds and was it Frostbite, I think is the other one. They're just annoying to play against because it's like burst, oh, your guy's frozen, you can't do anything about it. It's like, oh, okay. But I'm like used to that now, but it's just the creatures for some reason. I think it's because there's other ones that like Rasa and a lot of the other ones, like their ability goes on the stack and you can react to it, that it just like it feels off to me that like you can play this guy and pump up your Fiora and it's like, well, all right. I don't know.
Let me tell you about my love then. What was it? Triferian Assessor, the one that just draws you a shit ton of cards. When you get to like +3 or +4 off that just randomly and your opponent can't respond to it. Because again, I come from mostly Magic as well. It's like, am I cheating? Am I the bad person? Like, how is this? It's so good.
Yes. Yeah. Although if you're playing Noxus, you're really not the bad guy. I thought that Noxus, back in the day, not back in the day, before
in my
day, 3 weeks ago. Yeah, I was gonna say 3 weeks ago before we had beta. Man, I still want the 5. I still want 5 cost 2 drops to be the thing, but it's not gonna be the Vile Feast. Ruined that for me. My 2 mana 5/1 Vile Feast.
I have a new entry for the card that annoys me the most. because
I'm
I
in.
just remember this.
I'm in. Let's hear it.
There is a card from Demacia that is a 2-mana 1/4 named Border Lookout. One, the art makes it look like his arm is 48 feet long. It's like a horn. But
Yeah,
two, the
yeah.
reason that he annoys me so much is Piltover and Zon has a card that's also a 2-mana 1/4, but also domes your opponent for 2 when he attacks
Yeah.
with the Boom Crew Rookie. Just
Yeah.
strictly better.
Yeah. There's
The nerf there is that you're playing PNZ, as Reddit pointed out to us. I think someone made that comment.
Whoa.
Oh,
Oh,
hey.
Reddit. Let me tell you.
Reddit.
I'll
Not
show
okay.
you. I'll show you my 7-win PNZ decks. I have at least 150. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, today.
I mean, I'll play PNZ all day. Give me the spells deck. I'll play it. Play a bunch of 0-mana 6/6s, 2-mana 6/6s. I'll do it all day. Yeah, Rod and I almost got 7 wins with a like crazy control Cataclysm deck in PNZ and Expedition.
You know what card is in PNZ? Ezreal. There
True.
you go.
True.
Good faction. You know what else is in PNZ? T-Hex. Let's move on.
Okay, you know what? You Reddit was right. PNZ sucks.
No.
I take that back. I'll never say that. Okay, Saucy. We got some news this week. Let's talk about a little bit of news.
Yeah. So this
That's the new
article
drop
came
on
out.
this.
Ooh, that was terrible. I didn't like that at all.
News.
So there was the Legends of Runeterra, the communications lead, Dylan Buckner. In an interview, he confirmed that when basically going forward, what they're trying to do is when they nerf cards, if they buff cards, whatever, when they change cards in the game, they're not going to be refunding any of your crafting materials. So like if you come from Hearthstone, if they nerf a card, they'll give you your dust back or whatever. So their philosophy going forward, instead of refunding you the crafting materials for them, one, they're trying to make it so free to play that it doesn't, infuriate you that you didn't spend $5,000 on this deck, like a Magic deck. But two, they're trying to make it to where every card at least has some way that it can be played still, so that if they, they nerf the Rekindler or whatever, and now he's a 2/2 and people are mad, like there still be, and in the future there'll still be like a Rekindler deck or, whatever.
Still
so yeah, exactly. So they're trying to, instead of like, they're putting the work on their hands to make the cards all playable and keep them from just nerfing something into the ground because people are mad at it. Which I in my heart, I hope that happens. I love to see things like, that are playable. But in my jaded card player like
experience
mind here, yeah, like when the best deck gets nerfed and it's not the best deck anymore, people don't play it as much. So we'll see how that goes. I do hope that people, I mean, okay, never mind. I know people are going to rage no matter what. They can give you everyone. They'd be like, all right, everyone gets 2 free champion wildcards. Well, why wasn't it 3? Like, no matter what, people are going to get mad.
I spent my first 2 weeks playing this Teemo deck, and now I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, exactly that. So I'd love to see this happen, and I hope that it does, work like that. But I don't know. We all know how Reddit works. So,
what do you think about this, Cosmic?
Again, I think if anyone has played a card game, a single other card game that has ever had a ban or a meta shift, rotation, what have you, people stick to a deck. They love playing it. And if you take that away from them, they're going to be mad. So I love the idea of this. Everyone gets to play everything fantasy world, but they are putting one hell of a goal in front of themselves to hit. And it might take until the end of set 1, right? Until they get that kind of balance. And then before we know it, set 2 is going to drop. And then you're introducing hundreds more cards. And it's like you start that entire process over again. So, man, kudos to Riot. You guys pull this off. My hat's off to you. But holy shit, it's going to be difficult.
Yep.
Yeah. It also depends a lot on what is, and they probably won't say this because it's something that they probably want to keep close to the chest. What actually, what is, it says it right here in the write-up. Regions should have at least one competitively viable deck. What does that mean? What is competitively viable? They're specifically saying competitively viable. What does that mean? Does that mean it can have a 48% win rate at plat and higher or something like that? Like that. I mean, whatever. I'm wondering what their definition of competitively viable is, because it's like, if you can get a win on the ladder, it's like, okay, right. Sure.
Yeah, and where's like our in-game tournaments or any other kind of bigger tournaments to kind of support this, right? We just have the ladder as it is today. And if you look at people who are in Masters, and right, they have the right to do so, they're just playing completely jank decks right now. So I'm sure they're just giving out free wins too. We don't have like an isolated, dare I say, vacuum of a tournament to say, hey, here's what placed high, here's what made top 8, here's what their win record was against other people who are bringing those types of decks. So that entire element of balancing, in my opinion, is still missing. So maybe we get it later, but I think that's a key element of kind of what they want to start going towards in terms of balancing overall.
Yeah, I mean, is competitively viable based on tournament play? Is it based on the ladder? Is it based on a certain part of the ladder? Is it like that's also big because it's like if we're playing like a conquest format, then the decks that are competitively viable are different than if we're playing a different format, which is different than the ladder. So
Yeah, I think a lot of how this works is going to be determined by how, like, if there's competitive esports, how those end up working. Because we all know that a tournament meta is completely different than a ladder meta. So yeah, I mean, maybe there is this like viable like Teemo deck that is only good for tournaments because you use it to counter whatever. Who knows? Not us.
right.
That too.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to deter some people, and no matter what they do, it's going to deter people. I just like, I feel like the corner case of like, well, I only get to play a couple times a week, and the deck I was playing got changed, and it's not that good anymore. It's like, I mean, that sucks for that person, but also is that person like, well, I was only playing 2 games a week, but I wanted to be in master. It's like, well,
yeah,
bro,
exactly.
bro.
And it's tough. It's tough too, right? Because we all know you can't cater to everyone. There's gonna be those, but like I would rather them like not cater to the person playing 2 games a week, and I'd rather them cater to the people that are playing at least somewhat. I mean, this happened. I came playing a lot of Hearthstone, and there was a very broken card in that game that was essentially a 0 mana 5/5. It was called Corridor Creeper, and the card was
Yes.
absolutely broken. It got nerfed very fast, and one of my friends he calls me just angry, like, what is Blizzard thinking? They nerfed this card. I'm so mad because that was my favorite deck. I'm like, because it's the worst card for the game. Like, for in general, the majority of
Right.
everyone knows it. He's like, but this is the deck I'm having the most success with. I'm like, yeah, because it's the most broken. He's like, well, I'm not playing anymore. And he quit Hearthstone. Like, he's like, this is too much. And he quit. He quit the
Yeah.
game altogether. And like
Yeah.
he went on Twitter and like was tweeting at them and all this stuff. But like people form emotional attachment to decks. And some people will only play one deck because, and we may see it more in Runeterra specifically from people that come from League of Legends, because even streaming, I'm sure you guys have noticed people come in like, oh, I don't like Ezreal in League of Legends, so I won't play him in Legends of Runeterra. Or it's with Teemo always. Like, I can't believe you're playing Teemo. He's so toxic in League. I'm like, I don't play League, yo. I'm just trying to get mushrooms in this deck.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's going to be very interesting with that because there's a lot of that with this game.
Yeah, I will say I'm openly worried about the server, the official Discord server, just being in a complete meltdown mode whenever those patch notes go live. Because I'm sure, again, it's going to be that vocal minority, I'm sure, but there's going to be someone coming in like, I can't believe Shadow Isles got nerfed in the ground, that Mist got changed back to being a 4/2 and all this other stuff. Like, I know someone's going to say it. I just have to prepare myself for it. But look, Shadow Isles is getting hit next week. You should know that by now. You should get ready for it.
Yeah. It's I mean, I get like the Hearthstone thing where you get you get dust, or you get full dust for disenchanting them. That doesn't even really feel that good either. I mean, it kind of does, because it's like, I mean, you technically get back what you put in for it, kind of, but it's like, it still never felt good, because it's like,
well, especially if like a whole deck revolves around the thing that got nerfed, right? Like that's like if they nerf a card called Birthing Pod, suddenly the entire deck no longer works at Magic.
All of a sudden, not just my birthing pods are worth nothing, so are my, and then list the rest of the non-land
the
cards
entire
in the
deck minus Basic Forest.
Yeah.
Your lands always carry value, right? There's some parts you get out of it.
That's true.
Not a lot.
Yeah, not. Let me tell you, the foil Japanese birthing pods did not retain their value. Not at the same level, but yeah. I mean, You get nothing in real Magic, and you pay a lot more for the cards when they ban things. The Wizards did not issue a bunch of
They
pack
didn't come around
vouchers.
giving out tokens.
Hey, we banned Oko. Here's a booster pack, because that's what you opened him in, was one booster pack. Like,
They're
ooh.
going around to local game stores like, hey, I noticed you're playing Simic Oko. Here, this is a pack. I'm sorry.
Here's 4 booster packs.
You're gonna need this next week.
Tons
This is
of
to ease the pain.
Tarkir. Yeah. Here's a Theros Reborn booster pack for you.
Biggest oof.
Yeah, I mean, tabletop Magic is. I mean, Saucy and I both, and you as well, Cosmic, have put so much time into that game that, like, I love it. I'll love it forever. But also, I hope you're a stockbroker as well as a competitive player if you want to actually play the game, because, oh boy, and you get nothing. I got nothing when my Jace the Mind Sculptors got banned the actual week to a day after I bought them on eBay. By the way, I was a second-year college student when that happened, and that was a lot of money for me. People who are going to complain about not getting their one wild card back, I got nothing for you.
And we'll see. Like, I think for now this is totally fine, right? Like, with the base set, there isn't that much to begin with. Like, I'm sure you guys have most of the cards that you're looking for already.
A lot
Like,
of them.
yeah, exactly. Like, with a base set, it's fine. I'm more curious to see 4 years down the road when we have all these expansions and things change. Like, I'm curious how that's going to change when this whole methodology of things not getting refunded, whatever. But I think right now it's totally fine. I don't think there's any issues with it right now. Like, if you're that angry that your common got, like, your Mist Wraith got nerfed, you're like, I'm super mad at this. Like,
I'm
you're not getting
super
it dusted.
mad. Why did you
don't need
nerf my
shards.
favorite card?
Yeah, fearsome is fair.
I think overall that brings up a good point, though, and we have yet to see it, and I'm sure they're going to make some kind of announcement or just set 2 rolls around and happens. There has to be some kind of catch-up mechanic, right, eventually for this, because there's a shit ton of cards just in the first set, which was super awesome of them to do that, but we're adding potentially potentially adding 3 more regions this year, and that's not like, I feel a lot of people are saying, like, oh, cool, my region's going to get added. You have to keep in mind, they're most likely going to add as many cards as that there are for current regions. So you're looking at adding 200 cards for a region at once, assuming they want to be on like that same scale as the others. So you're going to be dropping a lot of cards throughout the rest of this year. So if someone comes in year 2, you got to have something for them. You just need it.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this, I think, with Charmer a few episodes ago. Like, they've got to have something to help the mobile players when that drops, like some sort of like new player bundle or something to help people get caught up. But yeah,
I think they should just give everyone the most important cards. Just give everyone 3 Teemos, and then that's enough to build any competitive deck. So everyone be happy with that.
Any truers in chat? Speaking of true things, we can talk about the meta right now, and I mean, we got to give credit where credit's due. I thought I came up with a good name for a fearsome aggro deck, which was Mono Fright Aggro, and then Charmer came in and said almost missed lethal and just blew it out of the water. Like, kudos, shout outs, and kudos to Charmer.
Man's a legend.
Yeah, he is the GOAT, as they say. But nonetheless, mist wraiths are I'm sure in your games almost no matter where you are in the ladder, from the top all the way down to the dregs of silver where I am right now. You're going to be seeing some mist wraiths. What has your experience been with in the meta so far, Cosmic, with mist wraiths, and what have you been seeing?
So I have officially joined Team Bad as of last night, and I went like 16-4 with the list, and it's just ridiculous.
Bad guy.
Yeah, as in I'm the evil person doing mists. The deck is just nuts. You have so much value in it. And this again goes back to the earlier point about Rekindler. You can just play this super fair, super board trade type of deck, and then you play your Hecarim. Maybe they have a vengeance for it, and then that very next turn you play Rekindler. Hecarim's going to come back, and Rekindler is still 4/4, which is really good in that matchup. And then suddenly you have such a huge tempo swing coming back in your favor. It's like, I don't feel like I'm playing a game. I'm playing whoever gets to their 6-drop and or your Ladros just spikes off, right? It doesn't feel good. I will say though, as much as Shadow Isles still needs to get tweaked, I significantly hate Elusive more still, and I hate Rally, and I hate Back-to-Back, and it's just kind of that package. I think once Shadow Isles gets removed, if they don't change like Lightblade and Shadow Assassin, those are like my 2 big picks, Elusives is just going to be all over the place, and it's not going to be any healthier. It's going to be worse, in my opinion. I really like the Elusive Rally deck, and I think it's far more degenerate than the Shadow Isles is. The difference is Shadow Isles just has a better on average matchup against more decks, and that's the only reason why people are complaining about Mists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I mean, it's just such a it's like it can be aggressive because like you can get the Elise draws and get like the spiders going, and but the other thing is like you have the fast like spiders, and then also Mistwraith draws, but then like the Mistwraiths and the Wraith Callers just keep pumping up, and like the fourth one that you play is like they're all just 5/2s and they trade with everything. So it's like not even it's not even an aggro deck in the traditional sense where it's like, well, I'm going to front load everything and go under what you're doing. It's like I can do that, but then also I have great mid game, and also I have fantastic late game with Ledros and Rasa.
Well, yeah, and I think Cosmic, you said it best. Like the reason the deck is so good is it doesn't have any dud matchups. Like it's very consistent across the board, and like we've seen that in other card games when a very strong, aggressive mid-range deck is really good, because I mean that's what makes mid-range is you have the ability to be super aggressive. You can go late game. Ladros is a card, and Hecarim like on his own. I mean that's a card we've seen where there's been like very slow control decks that just have it, like with no synergies with him just because he's really good and has to be dealt with. And then you'll see super aggressive ones that just top out with Hecarim because he's really good. So yeah, like the deck is just good and doesn't have any matchups that are just unwinnable.
Yeah, I mean, and even in that world where I think, I mean, there's always the discussion of, is the deck the best deck because it's the best deck, or is it the best deck because the best players are playing it? And then also off of that, is it the best deck because the best players played it, and therefore everyone else is playing it? Because if 100% of the people are playing the deck, then it wins every game, right? Yeah. So I do think, and I think we talked about this, maybe we talked about, I'm all my podcasts are blending together. I don't remember what I talked about when, but we need some sort of like incentive, whether it's a tournament or like something on the ladder or like being number. I mean, there is technically the ladder, but like once you hit master, it's like, okay. Right now, at least, we need something that incentivizes people to be the best and keep winning, because like I mean, you mentioned it earlier, Cosmic, like once you hit that level, it's like, yeah, we're just going to play whatever we want now. All of a sudden, let's bust out the Elnuk deck and just start playing around with it, because I'm streaming and I want to have fun while I'm doing this instead of just grinding Mistwraith matchups. But getting up to that, it's like, well, if there's like a traditional pro tour for Magic for Runeterra right now, level 1 would be the Mistwraith deck, and all of the best players in the world are like, okay, how do we beat the Mistwraith deck? And then the next level is, well, how do we beat the deck that beats the Mistwraith deck? Because we need, and then also doesn't lose to the Mistwraith deck. So like that's the calculus that like you, even in other games, Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering, you only see that at the top levels. When a new set comes out in Magic, the meta, like there's like a week or two where like people are playing at like a Star City or something, or like online games where it's like, okay, the meta in air quotes is set, and then the Pro Tour comes, Team Channel Fireball or this team or that team has this deck that is kind of out of nowhere and breaks the format, and then that's the biggest thing. It's like, because they're incentivized by, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars to win this Pro Tour.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's interesting. I'm definitely seeing a lot of Mistwraiths in my games, and that might be because I'm playing them. I am definitely the bad guy. But speaking of the bad guys, we did get a tier list from
Yeah.
Mobalytics.
Cosmic, actually, do you want to talk about this? Because I actually found this from your tweet earlier today. The Mobalytics tier list. Do you want to chat about this?
Yeah, so I can talk about that a little bit. So for those, if somehow you're following Runeterra and don't know Swim is doing a shit ton of work for the game and kind of like leading this charge of compiling all this. I'm sure there's other people who are kind of working behind it, but it's basically just a review of here's the decks that we're running into, here's kind of where they're listed out. And what's nice about it, and I think it's mostly Swim who's writing these as well. I tried to slide into his DMs about a few of them because there is still a few typos, so I will admit that as well. They try to just link whichever is the most popular deck that's on there, but it might not be the version that you're currently seeing. And what I mean by that is there is a list that, if you read the description, it'll say like, oh, and Deathmark is Sneaky Chariots. Oh, and Deathmark is used for this play, which for those that don't know the card, it's the one that changes a if you have Ephemeral on your unit, you pass it off to your opponents, and it's a removal spell, basically. That card is mentioned in the write-up, but is not anywhere in the list. So, yes, please take that with a grain of salt. But overall, it's a very nice snapshot and a lot of what you will expect to see if you're someone who is grinding the ladder today. And if you want to know, like, hey, what type of cards are most likely these people playing with these two region combinations that are playing these champions, you can go to that list, you can look it up, and you're going to find at least some semblance of an idea, especially if you're newer to the game. I 100% recommend looking it over and, do your homework, right? And then study up on the meta.
Yeah.
Oh, and they update it every Tuesday, if I remember correctly. I guess that's the other thing I'll slide.
Yeah, I mean, Mobalytics has been just absolute. I mean, we've talked about it a lot on the show. It's been fantastic for just, I mean, what it's doing with the deck tracker and deck list postings and just seeing what cards are being used and all that stuff. I mean, it's just so much is great. And I can't wait to see, like, once we start getting tournaments and if they can track tournaments and stuff like that's going to be amazing. And obviously the interface is great. Hashtag not an ad, guys. I know it kind of sounds like it is.
I know.
Full disclosure, I do know some of the guys from Mobalytics, but this is not a paid sponsorship or anything. So just really like the service. And yeah, I mean, the other side of the coin for something like this that's so good is like this is automatically by default the level 1, and people like, I mean, honestly, like me, who aren't like, I'm not a deck builder. I don't care. I mean, ironically, because I play a lot of expeditions, I don't care about building like super great top tier decks. I don't care about like coming up with a brand new deck and having it be my own. I just want to play the best decks and then tweak that and play a couple of different things. It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy kind of, again, where it's like, oh, well, this is the S tier deck, so everyone's playing it, and now that's going to remain the S tier deck because so many people are playing it. So
yeah,
I don't have a like proposition for what we should do about that, other than like what you said, Cosmic, is like do your research and actually like think about the matchups and whatnot. But
yeah, and I think the other big thing is, just like Cosmic said, is like this is good to see a snapshot of here's the decks. I've already had a couple people that have said, well, this isn't my favorite version of this, or this isn't the most tuned version, or this isn't the best version. And it's like, well, it's not meant to be like, this is the end all be all best list at this exact moment, at 7:12 p.m. my time, Wednesday, like that's just not what it is. But this gives you, like, if you are the kind of person willing to, that if you do like building decks, like it's a good, these are at least a good foundation. Cause I mean, I love doing that when I find a deck I really like trying to figure how many copies of Twin Disciples do I want to run?
Right.
Like being able to tweak, like even if you're in the mirror match, like being able to, all right, if I'm going against this deck 80% of the time, what cards can I change to get an advantage in the mirror match? Stuff like that, So just take these as like a building block of here's, what we're seeing, here's what's going to be on the ladder, because guaranteed other people, especially as you get higher up, when you're, diamond, masters, other people are looking at stuff like this. The better players are going to be looking for data. They're going to be analyzing other decks. And so if you're not, you're doing yourself a disservice, because they are.
And that's a good point, because if you actually, so I guess casual plug for Mr. Burks is someone in my Discord made the list, but if you look at it, the kind of the evolution, if you were, of all the misrated decks, they went from playing 0 Vengeance to playing a couple because you want to kill Heckgrub, to now people are playing Rekindler because they waste their entire turn using Vengeance and you go, oh, sorry, I'm going to undo your last turn and now have a 4/4 on top of that. So you need to review these lists, figure out where those weaknesses are, and then evolve, because this does change. I will say the one thing I'm surprised about, for how limited, air quotes here, progression is in terms of your card acquisition, it's kind of insane how much the meta has been changing, at least in my opinion. I was not expecting that coming into this.
Yeah. I was pretty surprised at how many decks I have right now that I can play.
Yeah.
Like I can play, just looking at the tier list, I can definitely and already have the top, all the S tier decks built. Once we start getting into Noxus decks, I'm a little bit light on the Noxus cards, but yeah, elusives I can play, Fiora deck I can play, Heimer control I can play. I have a lot of the, S and A and even B tier decks. I have the majority of them, and we're 3 weeks in, and I haven't even bought my wild cards for this week. I don't even know if I'm going to want to, honestly.
Yeah, I didn't buy any except for the champion cards. I didn't need to.
And Saucy, what did you Snapcraft 3 of with your champion cards?
I bought my 3 champion cards, instantly made 3 Teemos, no regrets.
Strongest choice. Brave, bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Yep. Now, and the best part is, the number of copies of Fiora I have is in the 0 digit. So
you can count it on 0 hands.
Yeah, I can count it on no hands.
Hey, this is your PSA for everybody that's watching this. Please make your Fioras before you make your Teemos. That's our pro tip of the.
Hard disagree.
Yeah, I mean, Fiora is one of my favorite cards. That's definitely one I've talked about before. But we are pushing on some time here, so let's jump into what has quickly become, what has within the matter of 2 weeks become our largest section, which is listener questions. Which is great, and you guys are awesome. And make sure you go to discord.me/Runeterrable Radio to join the Discord, or else we'll have to put your name as redacted in the announcement. we tease, but we do have a listener question section. So if you want to have the shot at us reading your question on the show, that's where you got to be.
Yeah, we can't get to all these. There's no way. We have 10, so we can get a few of them.
Yeah, we got time for a couple, but let's Saucy, I'll let you pick one and start us off.
This one's easy, so let's talk about this real quick. So KT7777777 asks, how would you feel if they added new leveling up animations as something to purchase in game? Give it to me. That is my answer. I want it. I don't think that's gonna happen because that's a lot of animation time. But man, if they had we can't change Ezreal's because his is the best in the game. But if they had some other ones, I'm in. Give it to me.
I like Draven's level up one.
Oh, it's good.
What's my name? Draven. It's pretty sweet. Yeah, I mean, give me more things to spend my money on. That's what I want. I don't know if I would buy a lot of these because it would depend.
I think that's something you buy 1 or 2 of. You have your favorite champion. Mine would be if they had another Ezreal, whatever, I'm buying it. Or Teemo. If there's another Teemo one, I may never even play Teemo, but when I do, my opponent knows how much more I love Teemo than they do.
True. I want cool ones. I want ones that if you hit diamond in a season, you get the diamond animation for your champ. That would be cool. What do you think, Cosmic?
I think for me, it comes down to not the level up animation, but I'd love to see, and it's been trending on Twitter a little bit in the Runeterra world, but that golden animated background. So the reason why I'm not for the leveling up animations is only because you don't see it every game. So there are going to be, you might play 10 games in a row where you don't see it, and then you feel bad for making that purchase. So you want something that always has an impact if people are going to be spending money on it. Now I want to take that one step further because I did retweet it earlier. I want them so badly to include that kind of golden animated background as the level 20 region reward for set 1. So you get to level 20 of that region, you get that animation for, you obviously one of each champion because you only need one. You'd get that animation unlocked for that entire region. So your Garen, your Lux, and all that would have it. because in my opinion, right now, one of the key things missing is some kind of reward for when you hit level 20 in any region. And if you guys don't know, there's no congratulations, there's no animation, there's nothing in the game right now, and that's super depressing.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Just
It's a good idea.
Just blanket statement. Just give us more things to spend our money on. Because I know that I probably will. Like, there's some things in like leveling up animations, and even like I mean, I talked about these before, like the golden like card animations. I think those are really cool. I don't know if they're for me. I would probably buy them because I want the the coolest thing or whatever. But I put them in because people are gonna like them and they're gonna want to pay money for them. Is my thing.
Cosmic, do you have one?
Yeah,
do you have one of these questions you want to answer?
I'm gonna go through it just because I think it's an interesting discussion. But Silent Eric asks, are there any mechanics from other popular card games that you would not want to see implemented as they add more regions or champions? Personally, I'm a big fan of mill decks, but I know some people dislike mill or offensive hand discard control. And I'm picking it because that last one, I am a huge fan of Thoughtseize and Inquisition of Kozmik, which are just discard cards from Magic. And holy shit, I want it, but I don't think a lot of people would like that as well. But if everything's going to be burst speed, I think we need more ways to interact in the game. So I don't know if discard is the best way for it, like a targeted discard, but I would like to see some other level of interaction against burst spells in general. So mill, I know, is probably not going to make it with 40 cards, but hand disruption or hand targeted discard, I'm all about. Something like duress, maybe, where you'd have to hit a burst spell type of thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah, that'd be very interesting. Like if it like specifically only hits followers or something like that.
Yep.
I could see even like if there was a region that like that was a big theme of theirs, that'd be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't play League, but isn't there like a Pirates thing? Like, wouldn't that be cool if the Pirates had like, oh, I'm gonna take that away from you?
That would be cool. I think it would be cool, even though it's actually better, it almost feels different if it's like you steal a card from their hand and like capture a card. Ooh, I mean, this is a pretty big thing, or a common thing in Magic the Gathering, of like steal a card or capture a card from their hand, and when it dies, you get it back. Like, that's a thing in Magic that we could definitely do. One thing that I do not want to see implemented, and because of how Runeterra works, it's pretty obvious why they wouldn't do that, is something like Loatheb, or something that takes away your mana for a turn. Because each turn is like also your opponent's turns. It's
where it, like if it stopped their spell mana from working or something for a turn.
Yeah, I mean, I think even that is big, but just like anything that denies mana from your opponent is just such a like literal game loser, because you need to be able to play things to interact at all times. So even something like Loatheb, where it's like, well, it can't play spells this turn, it's like, guess I lose right now.
Yeah, I guess I'm not gonna win the game.
Right. Something like that would be really tough to balance around. In this game. What about you, Saucy?
I think one thing that, like, it's not even like a mechanic, but the thing that I am scared of the most is if they ever implement a way to make your opponent draw cards. I think that's when Teemo's actually going to be broken. Like, if you can fill their deck full of puff caps and then make them draw a ton of cards, like, I think that's when I think that, and that could go, not even going along with mill, like if you're just drawing them some cards, like I think that is when Teemo gets broken.
Yeah, because I mean, that theoretically can be balanced, right? Because they're getting the cards.
Yeah, they're getting extra stuff.
Yeah, that is. I mean, I like it, I want to see Teemo. But they promised us that each card will be competitively viable, at least one deck. So there has to be a Teemo deck. Right.
I think that's one of those, like, there's a lot of mechanics like that where, like, coming from card games, you learn that the quote unquote downside of cards is usually the best part about cards, like sacrifice effects, for instance. It's like, oh yeah, look, the glimpse is really bad. You have to kill one of your guys to draw 2 cards. Oh wait, the undying exists, stuff like that.
Yeah. Man, Glimpse has just been so good because it's like
so
it counters your opponent's
It's not
thing.
a fun card.
It's so broken.
Yeah, which is crazy because it's like a mediocre card in Magic at best. Like there's literally the same exact card and it's mediocre in Magic.
Yeah.
Crazy. Okay, we'll do one more here. And again, sorry everyone who threw questions in here. Keep them coming. We will get back to some in later episodes, and we'll keep on keeping on and getting to as many as we can given our time. But this will be the last one for this week. This one is from Caliadini. Man, I butchered that worse every time I said it.
Just keep going.
They ask, will the lack of activated abilities and or tapping eventually unhealthily limit design space possible for Legends of Runeterra? Unhealthily limit? I don't think so. I think we're many years away from that. I mean, there's nothing like that in Hearthstone, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing that's like tapping in Hearthstone.
No.
Besides the hero power, I guess, but nothing on minions that is like tapping in Hearthstone. And like, you know, I have my opinions on Hearthstone, but I wouldn't say it has unhealthily limited the design space. Also, I don't know if they've ever said that they wouldn't put this in. I mean, you could. It's not. I mean, they did an artifact where like with the passing priority, like it just cost an action to do an ability. Like it's not out of the realm to be able to do something like that.
You stole my example because I was exactly going to bring up Artifact, but I think it's a very good spot to have a discussion and to put on a future champion. I would 100% expect some champion in the future to get activated. Yes, it's going to require you to use one of your priority passes because we already know how strong that is in this game. So if you're on defense and if you're trying to spend time using activated ability, you could get heavily punished for it. Like that's a very real thing. So I think this game has a space to add it and absolutely will. Probably in year 2 would be my kind of guess. After we get the regions added, that's probably like their next step of design philosophy that they end up adding.
Yeah, especially since, like, again, this is the base set. And if you look at the base set for anything, it's pretty tame in terms of what the game becomes in general. So
yeah. And like this has been a pretty spicy base set. Like some of the mechanics are very confusing for a base set. It's
Fiora.
It's very interesting. Yeah,
they have an alternate win condition in the base set, just saying.
Lidros.
Yeah.
Like that's an interesting one for a vanilla set.
Yeah. So
this is hands down the most fleshed out vanilla base set that I've ever played any card game. So major kudos to the right.
I mean, Kaijudo though, bro. Pretty on top. No, I mean it was still kind of basic. And also my we're getting into inside Kaijudo, and I'm only bringing this up because I'm pretty sure we talked about on your stream, Cosmic, about playing Kaijudo. My picture of Kaijudo is from the first couple sets, so not just the base set, actually. So no, now that I'm thinking about it, a lot of the cards were Cyber Fiend, or not Cyber Fiends. What were they called? Cyber Lords. Cyber Lords was my deck. Blue Black Cyber Lords was my deck.
Good times. God,
Kaijudo. Sorry, everyone's ears. I had to do that. That was the thing we used to do. Loved that game. Okay, guys and gals and everyone, that's going to be the show. Cosmic, thank you so much for joining us today. Sell out, shout out, plug, whatever you'd like. The floor is yours.
Yep. Thank you again for having me. Of course, all my stuff is right there. I've had a name change this year, so it's KozmicPlays everywhere now, thankfully. Ooh. And I'm very close to Masters, and I'm going to be streaming after this. So pop on over if you want. We're going to grind out the Mist deck until we get to Masters. So I'm going to hate myself for a few more nights, but hopefully we get there. But yeah, KozmicPlays on Discord, literally everything you guys can.
Yes, make sure you do that. Saucy, where can people find you on the internet?
Yeah, I'm just Saucy Mailman everywhere. YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, all those places. I stream 4 days a week. A lot of YouTube stuff. It's been a lot of fun. Yeah, We did an expedition guide here with Blevins.
Yes.
It was a lot of fun. The deck
That was
actually
fun.
ended up doing good.
I
Got
watched
7
you
pair of
play
6
it. We
wins.
almost got 7. Well,
we
by
got
I mean
ranched at the
you
end.
almost got 7.
You were there in heart.
I mean, I saw the games get played, so therefore
Yeah.
it was me. I thought if it was me, I would have gotten the 7th one.
He would not have, because we were playing Heimerdinger Noxus. and it was not
Heimerdinger
good.
Donger. It was great. And I will sacrifice my sellout and shout out to mention that KozmicPlays is spelled with a K, KozmicPlays. I got there. I used my last wish to free you, Genie.
And now the genie's gone.
But you don't need to follow me anywhere because I'm irrelevant. What is relevant is discord.me/Runeterrable Radio, at Runeterrable on Twitter, DeckPics.Live, as well as Runeterrable.com. Make sure you go to those places. We got all that good stuff going on. Get your listener questions in. Send us your deck picks and all that great stuff, because we're
DeckPics.Live.
It works. You think we're joking? Check
That is
it.
our website.
It is our website. DeckPics.Live. And also, if you're listening on iTunes, leave us a review. The reviews are super, 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 super helpful to growing the show on iTunes, because iTunes is stupid. But that is all good. Until next week, guys, enjoy your games. And we'll be talking about some more Legends of Runeterra next week. See ya!